Hey, fellas, it is Z-Doctor here, bringing you a little domination on Pipeline in Call of Duty 4. And funny enough, it is Call of Duty 4 that I am bringing the gameplay on, and I will also be discussing why Call of Duty 4 was one of my favorite Call of Duties, and why I think it was so successful, and all around one of the best Call of Duties we have ever seen. So, for the people who haven't played Call of Duty, or were introduced into Call of Duty, the Call of Duty franchise after COD 4. So maybe you played COD 5 and Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, but you never really got your hands on COD 4. I'm telling you, hands down, it's the whole community's view is that COD 4 is better than any other Call of Duty that has ever come out, and it probably will never be never be beaten by another Call of Duty. It's one of those games that is amazing. The graphics are actually stunning. For a 2007 game, these graphics are fantastic. The proportions are just beautiful looking. Everything about it is so fun. But I'm going to tell you why I think it's my favorite Call of Duty. I feel that the theme plays a major part. The fact that it's in Russia, somewhere that you don't get to see, and somewhere where it's like, I've never been there, so I guess I can assume it has this kind of feel to it, and it really does set up a whole atmosphere with the music, the grass, how it looks like, it's just this whole ghillie theme, this whole warfare theme, the really neat maps. Every map is so different, and there's no two alike maps. Yeah, and especially because this is probably the first real Call of Duty that everyone got into. I think, it was just so new and so creative, and everything was just so cool. But you can just see, looking around this map, you're always running into a different part of the map, and everything about it looks so cool. Everything's refined really well. There's second floors, first floors. You can get out on the roofs. There's many different options that you can take, and then also you can just go the simple route. You can go just through the straight of the map. But not just that, you can go under the map as well with the tunnels. And this was one of my favorite maps, along with many other people's favorite map. I think Overgrown was my other second favorite map. But all of this, was a really cool thing that I enjoyed so much. And I'm sorry if you're getting a little background feed noise. My phone's ringing, my air conditioning's on, everything's just kind of going off. But yeah, whatever. So I also think the guns, each gun had a specific feel to it. Every single gun, you could pick up a gun and you could say, even if you weren't able to see the gun, but you could shoot with it, but the gun wasn't in your hand, it was just invisible. I would be able to say, this is the M4, oh, this is the MP5, this is the M16, oh, this is the M40A3. Every single gun was so distinct in how it felt that it was like, wow, you got attached to your guns. The MP5 was a really good gun, but it wasn't even overpowered. Like, a lot of people say, oh, well, the MP5 was overpowered. No, it wasn't. It was just one of those guns that was really easy to use for most people. But for the G36C, I can use that and beast with that more than I can beast with the MP5 occasionally. So it's not, every gun is it gives you an option, and it just feels so much better. Along with it, guns, I already described maps, but I want to describe the music. I already said something about the music, but Hans Zimmerman created the music, and he did an excellent job with it. It has a real I don't know what you call it, Islamic feel with the Snake Charmer music, a lot of it, and and then it has the Russian feel with the Russian music, and then all the intro music and the SAS Victory music, I always sing to that when we win, but all that music was really just so cool, and it sounded so crisp and clear. Along with music, I think graphics were, in a way, better than Modern Warfare 2. I mean, the graphics, you can see everything looks so grayish in this. Not really grayish, but, the clouds reflect that color down on the whole map, and the whole map kind of, I don't know what you say, it reflects what the clouds look like, and, that ambient light is there. In Modern Warfare 2, everything was too colorful. Even when they remade the COD 4 maps, they put pinks and reds and stuff. No, we don't want pinks and reds, Infinity Ward. What we want is something that's realistically depicting a third world country. And this realistically depicts, kind of a beaten up, but at the same time, a modernized, cool looking, pipeline area. I mean, I just think that's really neat. Besides that, I really can't put my finger on everything that was perfect about it, but obviously kill streaks were a major part in making this game what it was. The fact that there weren't Harriers and Chopper Gunners pounding on the map the whole time, and the fact that it was gun on gun really helped make that huge influence. And for some reason, I'm going to tell you, I've had, like, you know, I don't know, they call it a gamer high. This is the only game that was able, this and COD 5, but mostly this was able to give me the gamer high. And the gamer high is basically when you get, like, you know, you like the game so much and you're so into it that your body starts releasing a chemical in your brain which actually makes you, like, kind of high, I guess you could say. You know, not really, like, you know, high, but it just makes you feel good. I forget what the chemical's called, but it's something. And that is, you know, this is the only game that's been able to do that for me. I don't know, maybe it was the fact that it was my first Call of Duty I ever picked up, you know, and if you're new to the Call of Duty franchise, let me know. Are you like, oh my gosh, I love Black Ops, you know, I love that game so much, and then maybe you'll realize that, you know, you had this feeling with it. And I never was able to put my finger on it till Only Use Me Blade did a video on, you know, that video games actually can, like, you know, make you high, but not really high, but you know what I'm saying, they can make you feel good because it releases a chemical in your brain. But, you know, this is the only game that's been able to do that for me. And nonetheless, like I said, it could have just been because it was the start of my gaming and I was, like, taken aback, you know, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. It's, you know, ultra realistic military, I love military, blah blah blah, you know. It could have been all that, but nonetheless, I thought it was really neat. Along with, you know, the maps, the graphics, the sound, I just think the general theme, they kept everything in one location, or two locations, or, you know, a few, it was here and there. With Modern Warfare 2, every map was different. A state was, you know, in some Durka land, and then, you know, you went to, like, I don't know, what do you call it, that whole sand map, like Afghanistan, or Afghan, that was what it was called, Afghan, and that was, like, in the middle of, you know, the desert. Like, how do you get from Durka land to the desert? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why that was happening. I really liked how this was all generally based upon a very similar theme. All the maps, though they were very different, had also a similar, like, they tied together, like, appropriately, and it made sense. Now, not just talking about multiplayer, I want to talk about single player for, like, you know, a tiny minute. You know, Modern Warfare 2 was way too short single player. The single player, like, everything was described, you know, about what was actually going on in those little tiny snippets, you know, before the missions, where it was like, well, you know, nuclear, you know, blah 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 blah. It would basically, it described the whole story there. Then you'd run in and you'd shoot some people, get out of an area, and then it would describe more story, and then you'd go do a little piece of it, and then it would describe the rest of the story. Most of the story came from the little videos before you actually started the missions. But in Call of Duty 4, I got the story while I was actually playing the mission. You know, they would obviously, you know, give you a little heads up, this is what we're doing, we're attacking here to get this, but you actually understood why you were doing that and why you were getting it while you were playing, as, you know, the talk and how, just what you were doing. It was just a really neat thing. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. If you think this video deserves a like rating, go ahead and do so. I am out. So long, fellas. So long, fellas.